Hello summoners and welcome back to the Emerald Age. Today we're going to be running back through the changes made in patch 13.21 which just dropped. So firstly we have a nerf to Aurelion Sol, who was already really strong last patch. This isn't surprising, he just scales like a monster, and like him there's really nothing you can do against Aurelion Sol, so it's probably a good thing to see him nerfed. This nerf is mainly hitting at his late game, but it's a really big nerf to his Q. The damage per second is taking a massive knockdown, so I really think this will move him down a few tiers. He was already quite difficult to play, but worth it if you put the time into him. Also, we have some improvements to Brand, just some sort of stat improvements to bring him more baseline with the other champions, but I really don't think that this is going to do anything for bringing Brand back into the mid lane. He's just a bit outdated and his kit doesn't offer enough to play in mid lane. And now, an interesting one with LeBlanc. We've seen the AD LeBlanc was doing quite well there a few patches back until the static shift nerfs came in and just destroyed AD LeBlanc, and AP has been the only way to go since. So they're buffing the AP not that much with the W. It gets a nice little dink up on the ratios. The E gets another ratio increase, but I really don't think it's enough to put her into viability. She really needs more buffs in terms of just raw damage is the big thing that she needs at the moment. For Morgana, we see another buff to Jungle Morgana, which was also buffed last patch and really didn't do much. So they're really pushing to bring her back into a jungle style, I guess, so no real effect on the mid lane, and I wouldn't see her popping up here again, but she's still great in the support role. Really couldn't tell you whether she's still even usable in the jungle. Possibly the most impactful change is the nerf to first strike, so it's going down from 8% bonus damage to 7%. This is understandable because it's used on nearly every single mid laner at the moment. Kassadin, Silas, Nefari, just any damage mid laner it's very viable on, so we're not surprised it got nerfed, but 1%, don't know if it's enough to bump it down from being viable. Also we see Phase Rush nerf, which maybe would hit Kassadin, but I think you'd still be going in the direction of First Strike over something like Phase Rush. This, as mentioned, is to nerf something like Garen, who just gets too much move speed and is doing too much for what he should be doing. So let's take a look at what this means for our tier list and where we move our champions around. The first change that we made since the last patch is to move Nefari up to S rank. Nefari definitely is shown to be the best AD mid laner at the moment. There is no doubt that he is better than Zed. We've also followed this up with moving Zed down a tier. The patches and the nerfs in the last patch have definitely been more impactful than we thought. And with the first strike nerfs also, Zed is just not the top pick for mid lane AD at the moment. Nefari or Yone are probably higher priority. Also, Aurelion Sol has stayed in place. B tier is arguably probably where he stands in the top of B tier at that. Still a very good pick, but still not quite recommendable for SoloQ. It's just difficult to guarantee that you get into the late game and you have a team that will play around you in the team fights. Then we're moving LeBlanc up to D tier. Definitely AP LeBlanc is not the best at the moment, but the buffs seem reasonable and we think that she will do better. Usually LeBlanc uses electrocute, so she's not quite as impacted by the first strike nerfs as other champions on the tier list. So let's run over our champion pickups for the patch. Is for Iron, Bronze and Silver tier, we've put Nefari as the top pick at the moment. He brings a lot to the table. His laning is very good, especially if you've ever played against a champion that's not got good wave clear or a melee matchup against him. It's just awful, and trying to lane against him is very difficult if the Nefari is good. His team fight capabilities are quite good, and he scales well enough into the late game. If you get ahead on Nefari, especially in these lower elos, you're just going to carry the game and it's going to be an auto win. So you can definitely pick him up, but he does require a bit more skill, so make sure to practice him before bringing him out in ranked. Our other S tier pick is Vex, who is quite good at the moment. She's still got a nice team fight, nice ultimate, and a good assassin, and an easy enough kit to play. She also hard counters Neferi, so if you're having issues and don't want to be banning Neferi at the moment, definitely Vex is a great pickup. If you W's in, you can just counter W to get the fear, and usually secure the kill. And now for the higher reload pickups, we have the same as the last tier list. It's Syndra and Silas, both great champions. Syndra scales well, but is also quite safe and does well, especially into Neferi. She's quite the lame bully, and if he jumps in, she can just Q, ulti, or W when he's channeling his W. So she's a great counter for Neferi also. Silas is great comp depending. If there's a high value ultimate, you should always be picking up Silas. And that's going to wrap it up this week for our 13.21 mid lane changes and tier list. Let me know if there's any champions that we missed that you'd like us to run over, or any placements you want us to explain in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe please if you want more from the channel.